God has designed our shoulders to where there's a lot of mobility, but that means there's a lot of things that can go wrong with the shoulders. The stability in the shoulder comes from the muscle, the ligaments, the tendons, also the labrum that's within the shoulder joint or the glenoid cavity. So the humeral head sits inside the glenoid cavity and all the soft tissue around it supports it. So I work at Boeing as an industrial athlete. Also, I'm a personal trainer. And just over the years, I've seen a lot of people have issues with their shoulders. That's why, as a personal trainer, as well as working with mechanics at Boeing, I really try to tell people the importance of being good stewards of one's health as well as shoulder health. Because once your shoulder gets messed up, it's hard to bring it back to the way in which it was operating before. So that's just the idea of injury prevention. All right, let's say you already have an injury and you're trying to figure out, what it is, and you're like, man, dude, injury prevention sounds good, but my shoulder's already gone. So it seems like nowadays more people are trying to take their health into their own hands. So it's always nice just to be able to have some talking points or something that you can take to be able to do further research, trying to figure out what it is that might be happening at your shoulder. So again, this is not an invitation for you to try to heal yourself, but it gives you an understanding and also allows you to be able to have questions when you do meet up with a doctor, and also allow you just to be able to understand the situation a little bit better. So to start your research, think of there's 5 categories that could be possibly happening at your shoulder. There could be some kind of instability, there could be inflammation, there could be arthritis, there could be improper growth that's taking place, or you could have some kind of fracture depending on the severity of the injury. Now, the thing is to remember is some of those are interconnected, so they're independent variable. And just a caveat, there's more that can go wrong with the shoulders. So there's many other complications that can arise inside of the shoulder joint. And sometimes it's not even the shoulder that has an issue, but you're just feeling the pain at that area. Rather, there could be something else that's happening in the body, and your shoulders is telling you that there is something wrong. So, in relation to the shoulder, when we're talking about inflammation, typically it's tendonitis or bursitis, but also I'm going to put in slap tears into this category as well because that can also cause inflammation. And a slap tear is where you get some sort of damage to your labrum. And the labrum is a connective tissue that sits deep within the shoulder and it helps hold the humeral head while it's inside the glenoid cavity. And a little caveat, everything that's damaged in the body typically triggers a inflammation response. Just to tell you, inflammation is not bad. It's just a natural process of the human body taking care of itself. So typically there's a lot of swelling that goes on because fluid from different parts of the body accumulates. And then you feel that sensation of pain because all of that fluid and chemicals that are being called to that location are pressing on nerve endings. So that's why you're getting that sensation of pain. At the shoulder joint, instability can be caused by subluxations, a full dislocation, or frozen shoulder. So frozen shoulder is hyperstability. So basically it's hard for you to move your shoulders as you would like to, just because there's scar tissues that forms on the ligaments. So ligaments just connect bone to bone. And then subluxation is a partial removal of the humeral head outside of the shoulder joint or the glenoid cavity. And then a full dislocation is just more of a severe form of a subluxation. Arthritis is the other category. So usually in the shoulder is osteoarthritis. So it's just the removal of the cartilage. Cartilage provides reduction of friction within the joints. So when that is not there anymore, it's just a bone-on-bone collision, which is very, very painful. So another category is fractures. So in the bone, you can have a partial fracture or you can have a full fracture, which means is the bone completely broken or is it partially broken? And then also you can have a tear or a separation of tendons as well as ligaments. If it's a tear in the ligament, and then also it can be partial or full, that is called a sprain. And then if it's in tendons, that is called a strain. Also, that same word is used for muscle tears as well. And the last category is growth. So that's where like you can have like a bone spur that's growing in there. So that can be really annoying because you have this little projectile that's sticking down. And basically every time you move, it hits a tendon or it rubs against a bone. And so it becomes very painful for you to be able to move your arm. Depending on the severity of your injury and how immediate your circumstances are, You might go to the emergency room to have it looked at. You might go to the urgent clinic to get it looked at, or you might schedule an appointment for your primary care doctor. Or if you happen to be a Boeing employee and you get injured at work, you might just stop by the industrial athlete room. So, depending on your situation, that might be enough just to see those healthcare providers, and they should be able to help you. The other option is you might just need to see a specialist, whether that is a physical therapist, an orthopedic surgeon, or a sports doctor. So, all of those doctors can do assessments, and typically, just by moving your shoulders in certain ways and manipulating your arm, they can get a pretty good idea of what's happening at the shoulder joint. But sometimes they need imaging, and sometimes imaging shows too much and it causes the doctors to refer you too quickly to get surgery. And sometimes you get those surgery and they just don't work. So it's really important that you understand the type of doctor that you're working with and also how long they've been in practice for. There's nothing wrong with surgery, but with everything in life, there are pros and cons. Sometimes the better option is doing physical therapy. So, physical therapy is just doing lightweight type exercises, corrective exercises, and various different other modalities to kind of help treat your shoulder and reduce the amount of pain that you're feeling there. Sometimes physical therapy doesn't work. Also, you might be trying to avoid getting surgery, or you might have the surgery and it doesn't work either. So, another alternative that people try is PRP, which is platelet rich plasma. So, usually you have to meet with a sports doctor to be able to get that done. Or you can get a stem cell injection that is very new, same with the PRP. Or you can get a cortisone shot, which kind of helps reduce the pain, but it doesn't really fix the underlying issue. But the goal is we're trying not to get to this point. We don't want to have to make these type of decisions. So how then do we keep our shoulders as safe as we can? How we do that is first, we want to warm up properly before doing anything physically demanding. We also want to mobilize the joint, make sure we're moving it in a full range of motion. We also want to stabilize all of the ligaments, tendons, and muscles around that shoulder as much as we can. And the last thing is we also want to work on the brain to muscle connection. You can do that by stability training, or you can do some sort of plyometrics, just basically moving your shoulders quickly. So if you've had the opportunity of reading the Bible, it explains in 1 Peter 4:10, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. So in that verse, Peter talks about a gift. So our shoulders are a blessing and they are a gift that's given to us by God. We had really no say in it when we were born. We just took the shoulders that we were given. Some people have more mobility, some people have less mobility. Some people have a lot of complications in their shoulders, and there's nothing they really did to have that happen to them. That's just part of life. I think it's easy for us to say we're the only ones being impacted by our own health, but the reality is it impacts everything around us. For example, you might want to get an income, and your job might consist of picking up things, lifting it overhead. And so that means you're not going to be able to provide income for that time being until your shoulder gets better. Or you might want to go outside and play with your kids, or you might want to pick up your grandkid, or you might want to go help your dad dig a hole in the backyard because he's been having back issues and he just needs your help. Those are just a few scenarios, but the point is when we're able to take care of our health, including our shoulder health, we just have more freedom to be able to do other things. With no further ado, what I like to say is movement is medicine, but movement with a specific purpose allows us to get a specific outcome. Thank you so much, and God bless.